get another 600,000 people. So by 2030, you could be looking at, you know, something like 3 million more people here, and you're going to build another 100,000 homes. Brilliant. What's that going to do?
No, over the last decade, the Conservative government has continually failed to meet its housing target of around 300 homes every year. It's averaged, I believe, around 180,000 every year. And even then, there are questions to be asked as to whether the target is ambitious enough. We need to build many, many more homes here in Britain. We have a housing crisis. We've had successive governments that have failed to liberalise planning, meaning that it's extremely difficult for construction firms to come in and build more homes. That, of course, that lack of supply, despite no reduction in demand, in fact, demand's going up and up, has meant that house prices have just increased and increased and increased. And, you know, the reason why we find ourselves in a position where people are failing to meet or struggling to meet their mortgage repayments is not just because interest rates were held artificially low throughout the 2010s, but actually that people have had to stretch themselves so much in order to get onto the housing ladder. And all the government has really done to try and address this is to just pump up demand further with schemes like Help to Buy. But you know, that's not actually increased the housing stock. So I think it's to be welcomed that they're loosening, you know, it's cutting some of this EU red tape in order to make it more easy for homes to be built. But ultimately, it's going to need to be a lot more ambitious. And the political reality, of course, is that will never happen because of NIMBYism. There are too many vested interests in constituencies up and down this country who do not want to see more homes being built. And it will lobby their local MP until they are blue in the face. And MPs, therefore, will be under such intense pressure to reject any moves that could lead to some kind of liberalising, loosening of planning regulations. So, again, you know, it's just very difficult to see what the solution to the housing crisis is, but clearly something needs to be done. And you know, to your point about the fact that there will be fewer house sales this year, I don't think that's altogether surprising. Of course, we've got the rising interest rates; they were lifted to 5.25% in August. You know, there's expectation now that they're going to remain around that point until, you know, certainly we're well into 2024. But that's running parallel to a cost of living crisis, and perhaps we're not talking about the cost of living crisis as much at the moment, but when we go into winter, when energy prices go up, you know, when we start to really feel the effects of the Ukraine war once again, that people are going to be feeling intense pressure. They're going to have to be tightening their purse strings even further. So I don't think it's surprising at all that the housing market is in that state. And you know, the question now is just, you know, how far are house prices going to drop? Is this an early indicator of forthcoming recession that the UK has narrowly skirted thus far, but perhaps is on the cards? You know, I think we can expect a lot more economic pain, unfortunately, in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Annabel, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Annabel Denham, Deputy Comment Editor of the Telegraph. Of course, she'll be back next week with more thoughts on all of that.